Do you know what I like to do when I'm not looking at baseball cards? I like to look at some football cards. Hey, quick announcement. Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards, and I are going live on Saturday for Hobby Palooza. Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It's, what's it called? Stay Off My Lawn segment. But we're going to show some fantastic old cards. And it'll be educational too. For those of you who don't know much about the really old cards. So now, I was reholdering some cards from my 1973 Topps football set. And I just love this set. Thought I would share them with you. Because this set is really loaded with rookie cards of some good football players. And it has some great action images. Now it's similar to the 73 Topps baseball in that it's a mixture of posed shots and fantastic action shots. And I wanted to show you some of my favorite looking cards in the set too. So let's just get into it. First, it is the set that has Franco Harris's rookie. And this is just classic Franco Harris in that hat because, I just have images of him playing in that really cold weather and the snow. And it also has one of the greatest outside linebackers of all time, his rookie card, Jack Ham. I believe Jack Ham is second on the all-time interception list by a linebacker, second or third. I think he's only behind Lawrence Taylor, but Lawrence Taylor played a lot more games. It has Kenny Stabler's rookie card, the Snake. Has Dwight White's rookie card. Dwight White, a staple on that steel curtain defensive line. And Mike Wagner's rookie card, the free safety for those fantastic Steelers. I got a lot of Steelers up front here, obviously, because I'm a Steeler fan. And this was the heyday. The Steelers had a linebacker named Henry Davis. He didn't have a long career. He had come over from another team. I'm drawing a little bit of a blank. But he's one of the rare Steelers that came from another team. Didn't have a long career. I think he played 5 years. He was an All-Pro in 1972. And before he played for the Steelers, I know he played some defensive end and linebacker. And he played linebacker for the Steelers. Also has Lydell Mitchell's rookie card out of Penn State. Franco Harris was his backup in college. Reggie Rucker, a good receiver. His rookie card is in this set. Dan Dierdorf. I like to use big words. Dan, I like to use really big words. I looked up in a dictionary, Dierdorf. But a good lineman. Art Shell, rookie card. If you're a Raider fan, I got three of these. Three of these babies. If you're a Raider fan, there's a few good rookies in here. Mike Siani here. I watched some old games, and man, he was a good receiver. Didn't have a long career, but a good, tough receiver. And Gene Upshaw. And some of my favorite cards. I just love this Joe Namath. I don't know why, but it's always been my favorite Joe Namath card. And it's also my favorite Dick Butkus card in this set. Look how fabulous that card is. I had put the cards in here before I got the perfect fit, before I knew they even made them. So I got to swap some of these out. These I had used PSA sleeves. How awesome is that card? While we're on that, let's see here. Well, I have this I have this Johnny Unitas I had in this screw down. Seems so odd. He's in a Colts uniform, but this is when he went to the Chargers at the very end of his career. So he had a card with the Chargers in 73 and again in 74, which was his last card. Here is Ronnie Shanklin, which was one of the wide receivers for the Steelers. And on the back of the card, you know, it's a lost art to read the back of the card, but they have a little quiz. And they say, what did Bob Hayes do in the Olympics? And the answer is, he won 2 gold medals. And so here is Bob Hayes' card. They called him Bullet. Bullet Bob Hayes. He won gold for track and field. Very fast man. Fastest guy in the NFL at the time, I believe. And this guy, I bet everybody on here, everybody watching, could tell me what kind of car he drove. Of course, he was driving the white Bronco during the O.J. chase. And, you know, I was talking about that there are no such thing as doubles in vintage cards because they're all different, right? So I have 2 off-center Lenny Dawsons. And these are great to demonstrate because that one's off-center to the one side and that one's off-center to the other side. If you put them together, they look pretty good. And I have this too. This is one of my favorite cards in the set. And this is kind of similar here. So I have one that's pretty well centered there. It's just a fantastic looking card. And here you go. One's off center to one side and one's off center to another side. So if you put them together, then they're acceptable for double D. And here's a Roger Staubach. That's the lowest condition card I have in the set. May need to replace that one. So here is Terry Bradshaw. A young Terry Bradshaw with hair. A fantastic John Riggins, speaking of hair. I remember that era, man. The afros were in. My dad had one. All these white dudes getting afros. And looking back on the pictures, they look ridiculous. Joe Green. Although I think if I had enough hair now, I might do an afro. So always envious of those. Andy Russell. L.C. Greenwood. Look how young he was. Most of us, you know, if you're in my age group or around there, you remember an older L.C. Greenwood with those glasses and those yellow shoes. And he used to get fined every game for wearing those yellow shoes. I think it was $75 at the time because he was out of uniform. Here's a Steelers checklist. Showing all those great players. O.J. Simpson. The aforementioned O.J. Simpson. But a great looking card. You know, I always say, when it comes to collecting cards, you know, these are all people. And they're not all perfect people. And so I've always struggled with that. It's a tough hobby for that reason. Because, you know, you don't necessarily idolize everybody, right? They're people. So I always justify it because I collect cards and history. Sports and history. I collect athletes and history. So I collect cards and I collect athletes. I really don't even want to know what happens in their personal life, to be honest. Don't even want to know. Oftentimes that ruins things. Tom Dempsey. And I love this card because Tom Dempsey was born without toes on one foot and without fingers on one hand. And he broke the all-time longest field goal record at one time It was 63 yards. And back then they had the goalpost at the beginning of, or in, what was it, in the middle of the, no, is it in the beginning of the end zone, I think? At the end zone line, wasn't it? And so they spotted the ball at like the 37, their own 37, for him to kick that ball. And this really shows, and I think it's the only card that shows his half foot there. Now, some people thought he had an advantage with a flat shoe like that. And they actually passed a rule. Actually, his kick sparked two new rule changes. One was how they do it now, where if you miss the kick, it's spotted at the place of the kick rather than the goal, rather than the line of scrimmage. So as a deterrence, because they wanted to kind of combat these giant long kicks. So that was one rule. And the second rule, known as the Tom Dempsey rule, is you have to have a shoe that is a normal shoe, regardless of your foot, to make it fair for all kickers that you can't have a flat shoe. Larry Little, fantastic offensive lineman on those fantastic Dolphin teams. And his brother David Little played middle linebacker for my Steelers. His little brother. And there's a fantastic Larry Zonka. He would just run over people. He was so much fun to watch. And this is a fantastic card. Beautiful card. I'll dedicate this one to my man at Bear Cards 34. This was his father's favorite player, Merle Olsen. And I love this Carl Eller. And he's on the phone. And you can see the phone cord, which people today don't even know what a phone cord is, but you can see it running through the card. George Blanda, my man. Have a couple of those. Deacon Jones, one of the greatest defensive linemen ever. Bubba Smith. Got this Jerry Mullins signed card. He was one of the offensive linemen that led the way for Franco and Rocky all those years. He played with Sam Davis, John Kolb, Mike Webster, and Larry Brown, who was a tight end they converted to tackle. And of course, Ray Mansfield was a center for us at one time. Jim Clack. There were some other guys, but he was one of the main guys. And Roy Jarilla, our kicker. And he was always up there on the points list, leader. And his brother, I have his brother's card. I believe it's his brother, who played in Canada. In the CFL, Bob Greasy, Paul Warfield, great card. Mercury Morris, blowing a bubble. Nick Buonicotti, great card. Don Maynard. Jim Kick. Dolphins had some good running backs back then. 3 of them. John Brody. Most people today would remember him more as an announcer. Yeah, there's a few doubles I just showed. Did I show my Bobby Walden? I don't remember showing my Bobby Walden. Oh well, if I didn't, here's my double of it. Another one of those. We have Charlie Joyner. Should be his second year card. Archie Manning's second year card. And when it comes to rookies in football, it's not the same as baseball. For the vintage cards, oftentimes a player's rookie card didn't come out till years before or years after he started playing and he was a rookie. And that's why I never liked the term rookie card, because it's stupid. It should be their first card. For instance, Mel Blount was drafted in 1972, didn't have a rookie card till 1975. What sense does that make? See, we have this rookie card. We changed the meaning of rookie to first, basically. So it's his first card. So in football, it's just amazing. Some of these guys played years before they had a card. I know, Jack Ham. I forget what year he came up, but it was before 73 here. But they're all like that, Lynn Swann. Lynn Swann came up in 75. I'm sorry, he was drafted in 74. His rookie card was in 75. John Stallworth was drafted in 74. His rookie card wasn't until 1978. Jack Lambert was drafted in 1974. His rookie card wasn't until 1976. Mike Webster was drafted in 1974. His rookie card wasn't until 1977. Here's Willie Lanier. Just as some examples. Dave Casper, his rookie card's in 1977. He was the fifth Hall of Famer from that 1974 draft. Frank Lewis, and he was a solid receiver for the Steelers. And he played at the time that John Stallworth and Lynn Swann came on, and probably got, I think he got more playing time than those guys, actually. He was kind of the main guy. John Frenchie Fuqua. And this guy used to wear platform glass shoes with goldfish in them during the disco era. Myron Patios, a favorite of my father's growing up because he played for the Steelers. He came up with the Steelers. Ray Mansfield. He lived in the Pittsburgh area his whole life. I used to run into him playing golf. I always talk about when I hung out with George Blanda's brother. Well, they were friends. And they belonged to the same golf club, so he used to take me. Dan Pastorini. And this guy used to give Bum Phillips fits. He used to give him fits because he was a stunt man in the offseason. He was a tough quarterback, man. The Steelers used to beat the hell out of him. And he'd come back. Remember, he used to wear this flap jacket kind of thing. Looked like he was real thick. Here's your quarterback leaders. Earl Morrall, man. He always go as a backup and do something great. Lead the league in passing, and took the Colts to that Super Bowl. What was it, 3 against Joe Namath? He took them there that season because Johnny Unitas was hurt. Then when he would start, he would be terrible. But he would just be up and down. Jake Scott. Jack Tatum. One of the hardest hitters ever. And the guy that paralyzed Darryl Stingley. Dick Anderson. This is a great looking card. John Brockington. Solid running back, I believe. Lyle Alzado. He was good for the Broncos, but man, I remember him with the Raiders. He fit into that team very well. Jack Youngblood. Howie Long, speaking of those Raiders, he told a funny story. Howie Long he grew up with the Steel Curtain defense, they were his idols, and he wanted to play for the Steelers. And so he didn't get drafted by them, but that's who he wanted to play for. And so, Jack Lambert was an idol of his, and he went to, it was like a Pro Bowl game, and he said they were in practice, and Jack Lambert brought him into the huddle, and he was smoking a cigarette, and he said, okay, you take on your blockers and let me make this play. And he said he threw the cigarette out, and they went out, and he did make the play. MacArthur Lane. Phil Villapiano, good linebacker. Charlie Taylor. Claude Humphrey. Got a couple of those. All right, what do we have here? NFC semifinal game where the Cowboys beat the Niners. Sorry, Rick. Fantastic. This is one of my favorite all-time football cards, man. Gene Washington. Check that baby out. Beautiful action shot. Leroy Kelly, good running back. Chris Hanburger, good linebacker. That's a cool, unique shot there. Man, I just love good-looking cards, unique cards. They don't have to be somebody that's, the greatest of all time. Bill Kilmer. Herb Adderley, fantastic in Green Bay and instrumental when he went to Dallas. Floyd Little, another good running back. One of the things I think hurts vintage football cards as far as, the value they carry, people wanting them as much, is a lot of these players didn't have very long careers. You look at the average career of a running back today, somebody will rise up and just look unstoppable, be just phenomenal. I think of, Ezekiel Elliott. Who was that Cowboy running back before him? I'm drawing a blank, but what was his name? And he would lead the league in rushing every year, but then you just never hear of him again. They rise up for a few seasons and that's it. It's a tough game. So you don't have, like in baseball, not too often. I mean, you have every once in a while, Tom Brady or a quarterback mostly. Sometimes, in the old days, you had guys play really long, really long careers. But, you just don't see it like you do in baseball. It's not easy to have a 24-year career like Hank Aaron did in football. It's not easy. Unless you're Tom Brady. Lance Allworth, great receiver. Earl Morrall. There's Earl Morrall Way down there in Miami. I used to drive on when I lived there. Garo Yepremian. Good kicker. Pete Banaszak, running back for the Raiders. Fred Dreyer. What was his TV show called? Hunter. Hunter? Is that what it's called? Man, it's a long time ago. Kenny Burrow. I liked him. What did he wear? 00? The Oilers. Tom Mack. Oh man, I can go on and on. I'm going to have to stop. It was my wife's birthday this week, and she was working out of town, so tonight is our birthday dinner. Ken Riley. So I got to go. I got to go get ready. Hey guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Oh man, I missed a couple. That's why I didn't show the Bobby Walden. Cool card. And I didn't show two great cards. Fran Tarkenton. How great is that? And this fantastic Bob Lilly. All right, now I got to go. Thanks for hanging out with me.